right. Live on Facebook. Stand by for just a second. Here we go. All right. Let's invite a couple people. We'll get started. It's 11:11 right now. Love it. Love it. 11:11. Hey Tom. Hey Sean. Great to see you. Let me invite a couple people here, and I'll get started. I have something really powerful I want to share. Everybody says that, right? But really, I'm going to share one of the most powerful tools I've ever learned. The ego's not really going to like it, but if you want to raise your vibration and create this new earth, these are the things that we get to clear. So I'm going to just inviting a couple people right now. Yeah, I'm going to do my best to keep it fun, but at 11:11 right now, the topic is one of the most powerful tools to reclaim your power. And when I speak about power, obviously, I'm not speaking about the ego. I'm talking about frequency. Because frequency is everything. Frequency and energy. So the topic that I want to share tonight, which is, again, one of the most powerful things that I ever learned on my awakening journey. And I still use it almost in every single moment. It's from the book, Waking Up in the Dream here. And it's actually from chapter 5. I wrote an entire chapter around it. And to me, the biggest addiction on the planet is judgment. Hey, Pete, thanks. Judgment. It's not drugs and it's not alcohol. It's judgment. And why is that? You know, most of us are nice people that are doing the work. We have good hearts. What happened? How come that is like one of the strongest, what I call automatic programs that we're dealing with? And the reason is because when we came into these bodies from being soul beings, unlimited soul beings based in the frequency of love, we got dropped into a program of separation. So from the very beginning, we were exposed to separation. School, different colors of races, people that had money, people that were poor. For me, I got dropped into the Catholic Church religion. Man, what a training ground that was for judgment, shame, guilt, and just serious programming. So, how do we reclaim our energetic power? Because I'll start with this. Every judgment lowers your frequency. Every judgment is a war with what is. If you really want to break it down, every judgment is a trigger. And so every judgment that we have is not only lowering our frequency from the highest frequency, which is love, but it's also every thought, every word, and every emotion is a waveform. Waveforms, although they're invisible, in this case, to our eyesight, they are creating what shows up in our holographic reality. Because everything in the hologram is vibrating to a specific frequency or a certain frequency. And everything that we emit with our thoughts, our words, and our emotion magnetically attracts a like frequency into our hologram. And for those that aren't familiar with the term hologram, let's just say our life, what we see. Everything is vibrating right now. Our bodies, everything that we see is vibrating at a certain frequency. So I used to be a judgeaholic. I think many people are. And the reason that I, as a kind-hearted man, boy, and youth growing up, would point out things that were wrong in the external world is because I wanted them to be right. And really, these are just words, because are things in the external world really wrong? The ego will say, heck yeah, murder, rape, pedophilia, harm, chemtrails, vaccines, poisoning of our food, air, and water. But really, are they wrong? And this is something I invite you to really dive into and go down the rabbit hole on, because I would point out all these things that I thought were wrong, and really I thought I was doing something really good by exposing it. And anybody that sees my posts, that I'll still expose some things. However, my main focus is on frequency and energy, which again comes down to what we can control right now. What we can control right now in this moment, if we just close our eyes and drop within, there's nothing else really going on. We're not really seeing all the things in the external world that we think are wrong and that trigger us, okay? So every judgment is a trigger, and every judgment, whatever you judge, you are actually, in quantum physics theory, I don't really want to use the word science, because science has really been kind of a deceiver of us for a long time, so I'm not really a fan of that word. But just to cover all the bases for people that it might come to mind for them, the teachings in school, history. Every judgment that we have is actually attracting more of what we judge. And this is the work that many people don't want to do. They want to talk about 5D, 12D, the Palladians, and everything else. And that's great, but the reason I wrote this book and teach this course is because this is the deeper work. And unless we're willing to look at it and go in and become the conscious observer and the powerful conscious creator that catches the judgments and then immediately shifts it. Immediately shifts it. So how do we do this? How do we do this when our thoughts are running somewhere around 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day? And when I get in conversations with people around this, I could ask them, and I could ask myself, how many thoughts can I remember that I have during the day? If I were to ask myself at night, I might be hard pressed to come up with 25, maybe 50. And I could go down the list using my whatever you want to call it, intelligence, and go, oh, okay. So I judged the way somebody looked. I judged the color of somebody's skin. I judged what I saw on Facebook. I, judged a lot of things, but there's no way I can even come close to getting into probably what happened between those 50 to 70,000 thoughts. Okay, so what's going on here is what I call leaking. We're leaking energy when we're not aware of our frequency and our vibration. And judgment is just the first place I go, because it's the number one thing that so many people do. I was going to use the word most people do, but I don't like to use the word most because it's a projection. So our projections leak our energy. But for this conversation, judgments really leak our energy. So let's get into the tools. For the people that come in to the Waking Up in the Dream 30-day experiential journey course. And the people that read the book, I talk about and I invite people to get a golf clicker. It's a little spring-loaded clicker that you can hold in your hand. They sell them at sporting goods stores, and they sell them at golf pro shops. And it goes up to, I think, $999. If you catch 999 judgments in a day, I want you to contact me because I'm going to give you the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think the first day that I started, I think I had 79. And I know that I missed a bunch because I was just starting to hone and build my conscious awareness. So the key here is to become the conscious observer, because so many people are in just what I call automatic reaction mode. And they feel really justified when they get triggered with anything that goes against their belief system. So then the ego wants to justify why they got triggered and why they judged. Because this is wrong, that's wrong, this person raped somebody, this person killed somebody, this person did a number of other things that, you know, they're not high vibrational things that people do. But here's the key. Anything that we judge, we're giving more energy to. So guess what's going to show up in your vibrational hologram? It may not happen with one judgment or one thought of that's wrong, but most people that judge have a belief system that keeps running over and over and over, and it's eventually going to create enough energy to start attracting more of what you judge into your life, into your holographic energetic field, whatever you want to call it. You know, as I said earlier, I was a judgeaholic. I was pointing out all the things that I wanted to shift because, you know, I have a good heart, but I didn't understand how energy and frequency works. So using this golf clicker, if you really want to reclaim a lot of your energy and do one of the greatest things you ever can for your vibration, your frequency, because let's face it, this is going to have to get done. There's no skipping around this one. There's no way that we can just go, well, I'll catch a judgment when I catch it. And I know I'm a good person because I call myself a light worker and I'm constantly raising my vibration. Nuh-uh. That doesn't fly. I hate to break that news to your ego, but it's not going to fly in the higher energies. In the new earth energies that we're creating, judgment it's not going to work. We're not going to be able to get to the higher level frequencies if we're still judging other people and we're still judging things on the planet. It's not going to be possible with our frequency. It's just not. So this is the bad news that nobody really wants to deal with, or a lot of people don't want to deal with. And it's just the way it is. So if you're really, you know, doing the work, then you're open to the fact that it has to be done. Just as the inner work needs to be done. The traumas and the childhood wounds. That's the last place people want to go. And that's why they sign up for all these other courses that don't really deal with that. And I'm not knocking any other course that's out there. That's not my intention. My intention is to be in my truth of what I've had to walk through and what the people that I work with one-on-one have to walk through in a safe and non-judgmental space. And that's a big reason why I created the Waking Up in the Dream, you know, transformational experience, because it truly is transformational. You come in to a safe and sacred space. Judgment is not allowed in this space because I create a space where everybody's energy positively affects the other people in the group. And it truly does. And so, you know, to have a safe space like this, to be able to be mirrored and to be able to ask the deeper questions it's priceless. You know, you can't put a price of value on that course of the breakthroughs that happen for people and the things that they clear that they may have been holding on to for decades and decades. So I think you get the point. Use the tools. The other tool that you can use if you don't want to go out and get the golf clicker, but if you don't want to go out and get the golf clicker, I'm going to have to tell you, I'm going to have to call you on that. It's $3 to $5, and it's way better than trying to remember on your phone or on a piece of paper, or just remember, I'll remember and I'll journal it when I get home later. No, I've seen people do it. They don't catch the judgments like the people that really dig in their heels and they go, you know what? I'm really committed to my path. And I'm going to listen to this guy because he seems to be making some sense. He seems to have, tested this out. I'm the first one to say I was a judgeaholic. So I'm authentic, I'm being vulnerable, and I'm only here to help you. I'm only here to uplift as many people as I can by sharing these tools. And I've been studying these tools since 2001 when I met my mentor, Don Miguel Ruiz, author of The Four Agreements, The Mastery of Love, Beyond Fear, and The Voice of Knowledge. I've spent thousands of hours around these people, if not tens of thousands of hours. I became a recording guy for Miguel because I was a recording engineer for 25, 30 years. I still am. So I got to listen back to these meetings that we were in. And this is one of the biggest trip ups for people because the ego doesn't want to be called out. It's going to defend. So many of you may have heard that my friends helped me by naming my ego. And so I named my ego Larry. And Larry is one of the trickiest, most deceiving people ever. And then I also named my spiritual ego Lizzie, after Lizzie Borden, the axe murderer. And so if you really want to do the work and you really want to become what I call in the book the watcher, the conscious observer, these are the tools. Start catching the judgments. Go get the golf clicker and journal at night. Write down how many times you caught yourself, because it's the only way that you're going to start lowering that number. If you're not tracking it and you're not holding yourself accountable, it's going to slide by. There's too much wiggle room. So the other thing you can do is put a rubber band around your wrist, and you can snap it every time you catch it. Not to hurt yourself, but just to kind of send a reminder message to yourself, and that will help. But for me, from the people that I've watched, the golf clicker, the spring-loaded clicker that goes up to $999, that's the most powerful thing that I've ever found. And so reclaiming your energy. Once you start to catch a judgment, you will feel it vibrationally in your body because it's got a vibration that is not love. And a judgment could include anger, hate, unworthiness, self-loathing, not good enough. So not only are the judgments that are kind of easy to catch about what we're pointing to out in the external world, but the real important ones to start with, because this is an inner journey, are catching the ones where you're using, negative and judgmental and unworthy self-talk to yourself. The only way we're going to clear this stuff is to notice it. And I talk about mirror work too in the group. It's a requirement in the Waking Up in the Dream group. Getting the golf clicker, it's a requirement. Journaling at night is a requirement. And so this is stuff that will change your life. And it may not be as fun as talking about 12D and crystals and some of the, manifesting abundance, But if we don't go in and dismantle these programs, they're going to affect all those other courses in a negative way, because this is the work. I wish I could say it's the funnest course in the world, but we do have fun because we have aha moments, and there's so much love that gets shared in these groups that it frees you up. It frees you up. So if you want to free up your energy and you want to stop attracting drama over and over in your life, because it'll cycle through. If you don't go in and observe these programs, they'll just keep cycling. And you can be the most loving person in the world, and that's great. But if you're still running a program underneath the surface, it's unconscious, it's still affecting and it's leaking your energy and your frequency. So I intend that you find this really useful. And it'll only be useful if you watch this video and you go, you know what? I'm going to commit to that every single day because I catch myself judging. And this is the way we do it, people. We notice where we're leaking energy, where we're getting triggered. We start observing the triggers. And every time we have a trigger, we catch it immediately and we go, ah, there it is. Now we turn it around and we go, anything that we judged, whether it's in ourselves or in another person, we send it love. We dismantle that judgmental frequency that we sent out into the hologram. Because if that frequency is allowed to run without clearing it, guess what? It's going to magnetically attract something into your field at one point or another. And again, one judgment might not attract that same thing that you judged into your hologram. But if it's running under the surface and it's a pattern, you're going to start to see that in your life. You hear people say, why do I keep attracting the same people in relationships? It's because they're holding that frequency. You don't attract narcissist, which is the big word these days. I never even heard that word 5 or 10 years ago. But that seems to be the big word these days. And a lot of the people that are calling out narcissists and are getting triggered by them, they haven't cleared that underlying energy that they're holding. Yet you can see it everywhere. They're blaming the narcissist and they're not going, why am I attracting the narcissist? There's an aha moment for you. And a lot of people don't like it. We've got to get used to loving when we get triggered. Because if we don't, we're going to push it away. This is a work right here, people. What I'm sharing with you is a master clearing tool for the biggest addiction on the planet. And if you don't think you have any judgment, high five. But I've met very few people that don't have them. Because we all have triggers. And, you know, the collective consciousness, some of the judgments that we might have might not even really be ours. So we don't have to judge ourselves about having a judgment. We just notice the frequency and we go, let's clear it. I send myself love. I do ho'oponopono to myself, or I do ho'oponopono to the Vatican, the church, pedophiles, the government, the chemtrail people, anybody that appears to be harming us and out of alignment. But we send them love and we clear the frequency as quick as we can. This is the work that's going to raise our frequency and the vibration of the planet in every moment. It's already happening right now as we're talking about this. And I'm sharing this. It's such a great tool. It's such a great service to yourself, your own divine sovereign being. We don't want to talk down to ourselves. We don't want to judge ourselves. And we don't want to judge anybody out there. When we finally figure out how energy and frequencies work, and we finally figure out that everyone you're judging is you. What? Yeah, that might be a whole nother conversation. It's a hologram. It's all happening inside our brain. Everything you're seeing out there isn't out there. It's in here. So I hope you find this useful, because this is one of the most powerful tools that I can ever share with you. And I use it every day, all day long. It's just I move through it really quick now. Because so many people, I'll leave you with this. When somebody has a judgment, there's an energetic trigger. There's a frequency. If it's a big judgment, then what can happen is a story starts to run. Oh, you always do that. I can't stand the government. They're always doing this. I'm going to go look for somebody on Facebook that's posting the same thing. And then I'm going to go back and forth with them. And guess what? You're feeding that whole thing the whole time. As long as that judgment runs more than 1 second, you're feeding it. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. You're feeding it. Some people feed it, and I've done this before. I've fed it for a month. I've fed some things for a year, maybe longer, until I met my teacher or teachers. Everybody's my teacher. Everybody's our teacher. Anybody we judge, anybody that triggers us, anybody that we look at and go, I don't like the way that person looks. He's ugly. I don't like Jeff's glasses. I still judge myself. You know, it's crazy. But let's drop into our heart. Let's be loving. And let's catch these triggers. Because unless we do, they are affecting our frequency from being raised. That's all there is to it. It's true. And there's no way to skirt around it. So have fun with it. Love yourself, but start to catch your judgments. And be loving when you catch a judgment. Because the ego, well, Larry wants to defend the judgments. And then Lizzie, my spiritual ego, then she wants to judge Larry because he didn't catch the judgment or he's defending. So now you've got two different aspects of the ego that are piling on top of you, and it escalates. So unless we can see these things, we can't change something that we can't see. So, hey, great to see you too. Thanks for the love. So, becoming the conscious observer. Let's go over this one more time. Every judgment, every trigger is an automatic reaction. That means we're still holding a frequency. Otherwise, we couldn't have an automatic reaction. It wouldn't trigger us. We just go, oh, look at what they're doing. I'm sending them love. I know that they're part of me. They're an aspect of me. And we're all growing together. It takes somebody that's done a lot of work to come from that point of view. Many of us are like, okay, that's bad. Let's shine some light on it. And let's bring some awareness to it and make sure that, that gets addressed. Whether it's pedophilia, chemtrails, 5G microwaves, hurting people, whatever it is. So I would kind of say that we're in this vibrational state right now where we're all kind of agreeing what's wrong, and then we're giving it love. The next level is a higher vibration of just automatically giving it love and not judging that it's wrong. This is next level mastery, but this is where we're headed. And this is what's happening with the frequencies that are coming in to assist us in raising the vibration of our body, shifting from a carbon-based body into a crystalline light-based body. And so we're getting a lot of assistance right now from the sun, the incoming waves of frequencies, and, I would say from some of our galactic friends. I haven't connected with them yet on a personal level, or maybe I have, but they appear to be in human form. The main thing is anytime you get a trigger, you've just lowered your frequency. And you've also possibly, if you don't clear it right away, you're possibly attracting something that you just got triggered to. So, catch yourself when you're being the automatic reactor. Notice it and give yourself some love because you just caught it. Catching it is amazing. Some people will never catch it, and if you bring it up to them, their ego will defend it, and they'll justify why they said that and they did that. That's a no-win situation for your growth. When you justify your judgments, you're never going to win because you're just going to repeat it again. So give yourself love when you catch the automatic reactor, which is what I call it in the book, the automatic reactor. And then, give yourself a lot of love being the conscious observer and catching it, because you're going to have to catch these no matter what. So I intend that this is valuable. If you think this is valuable and you want to share it with somebody in your groups, please share it, because the sooner that we can stop being judgeaholics, or just even being judges, frequent judgers. You got frequent judging miles, and we all do it. So give yourself a lot of love, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I want to let you know before I go, I'm doing a weekly open house gathering in the private Zoom room every Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific and 12 noon Eastern time. And not only do I cover this stuff, but the real power of the open house gathering, which people ask me if I would do, because they wanted to experience what happens in the 30-day waking up in the dream transformational groups. So what this does is this gives people an opportunity to come in, and I'm going to go through tools in the book, all conscious awareness tools, all raising our frequency tools, all catching things, clearing traumas, clearing childhood wounds, and it's in a safe space. So, there's not going to be any judgment tolerated, but for basically the price of a movie, you can come in and spend 2 hours with me and with other people that are really doing this level of work. And then you can ask the deeper questions from the book or what I share or from any of my videos, and then you can get mirrored. And mirroring is the process of you ask the question, and then we can go in and dismantle it. So a lot of breakthroughs happen on these calls. It's life-changing if you're just willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to be authentic. So I do that every Saturday now, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon. So it'll be coming up Saturday. And then the next Waking Up in the Dream 30-day course starts Sunday on the 9th. Lowered the price. Anybody can do it if they want to do it. If you reach out to me, I'll work out a payment plan. I've done courses that cost 20 times as much as this. It's $222 for those that want to know right now. And it's life-changing. And so if you'd like to come in, there's still some spots. We set up a private Facebook group, and it's the deepest work that I know of. And the level that you show up is the level that you're going to be able to clear stuff. So if you're interested in that, reach out and send me a private message, or you could go to the sourceoftruth.com website, get all the information, read all the testimonials. There's some really powerful testimonials on there. They're not just this course was great. They talk about where they were before they came into the course and where their awareness is now once they started to see the ego and the judge and the automatic reactor. And they went in and cleared some really deep childhood stuff. So it's really, really valuable. And I put my whole heart and soul into it. I think about it every day, and I'm there to support the people in the group and on these calls every single day. You know, not only just on the weekly 2-hour call. So it's really, really powerful. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all the love. And thanks to the people that share this. I'm honored, and I'm honored to connect with all of you. So until next time, be good to yourselves and become the conscious observer. It'll really serve you well. Many blessings.